Hello everyone, and welcome to your Wish Fulfilled Friday, the Friday segment of my channel that is dedicated to your success stories, dedicated to your wonderful experiences, dedicated to making you feel good so you can start your weekend. Can't even talk. Start your weekend in the right way in order to gain that success, in order to find your way through this sometimes crazy manifestation journey. Or any of you going through a hard time right now, maybe you are manifesting your specific person, maybe you're not really seeing much in the way of movement, and there's been a long period where you've not had any contact. You don't even know if they're thinking about you or if they've forgotten about you and potentially moved on. Are you in that sort of situation and you're thinking that how is this going to work? Maybe you're a really logically minded person, you've got a really pragmatic approach to life, and all of this stuff just seems a little bit out there for you. You're a bit skeptical. Is it just not feeling like it's working? Nothing's happening. This is what was happening to my friend here. So it's not a client. I've never coached with this person before, but he's very kindly taken the time to share his success story. And I tell you, he was stubborn from the day I met him. He's been with me for the longest time in terms of he was following me on my TikTok originally. I remember him. I remember all the gang from my TikTok lives. A lot of you are on here on my YouTube as well and have joined me now on my YouTube lives because I'm much more active on YouTube now. But he started back then with me on my TikTok when I would do my hours and hours. I couldn't sleep. So I'd be on these TikTok lives for hours. We'd be doing these like live hypnosis sessions. We'd be doing these games, answering questions, just being playful, silly things, you name it. It was like friends hanging out. And I think it was that, and correct me if I'm wrong, darling, but I think it was perhaps that sort of sense of community and the fact that we were having fun, that you went from this kind of skeptical approach, stubborn approach, kind of challenging me a little bit approach in the beginning, to becoming more open-minded now, realizing how the law works. He actually put it to the test in the end, and he got his SP back, and he experienced for himself this art of thought transmission, where some incredible things were reflected back to him. So if any of you are curious with regards to thought transmission, is this a thing? Does this work? Are you really transmitting anything? I'm going to clarify this, and I have talked about it in previous videos too. But he's actually had his first-hand experience of it, so he wants to share it all with you guys here, and I'm going to read out his success story. First up, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Athena.raven. I'm a mental health and manifestation life coach, and I'm just here to empower and inspire you on this manifestation journey. So if you're finding this content helpful, I invite you to just take a moment to like and subscribe, just to boost this channel, help it to grow, so we can reach a wider audience of people who are probably going through the same sort of predicaments, because I know a lot of us are, particularly those of you manifesting a specific person. It's probably one of the most painful manifestations emotionally. Doesn't need to be, but for a lot of people it can be, because we're dealing with heartbreak, because we're dealing with a lot of stuff that we dragged up from childhood. And this is why I deal with that the most, because I've got the sort of psychology background. So the way that I use psychology to help you change your mindset really does help you to do it in a less resistant way, because it worked for me. So I'm just sort of sharing it with you guys to see if it works for you too. And it has been working for a lot of you, and I love seeing that you're not only watching the content, but just like this guy, putting it to the test, giving it a go just because. So shall we see how he got on? Shall we see how he did it? Let's have a look at what he says in his email. So, and I'm just going to say, darling, if you are around, if you're watching this, which I don't know if you are, feel free to comment below, and I'll get people to ask you questions and stuff. I always invite people to do that, as long as they're comfortable with exposing themselves, which I know not a lot of people are. Some people are very protective over their privacy, and that's fine, don't worry. But he starts his email with, "Hi Athena, you always knew I would succeed, and you were right. Reflecting on the past year, I've seen so much change, and maybe my story will help others. The least I can do is share it and hope it inspires someone. A bit about me. I followed Athena's channel well over a year ago, completely new to the law of assumption. Just to be clear, I am a skeptical, no-nonsense kind of guy. Initially, I joined Athena's TikTok and eventually her YouTube because I had a crush on her." Thank you for that. Because I had a crush on her. I used to join her live sessions on TikTok because they were relaxing and I enjoyed her energy. Over time, I started to listen more and absorb what she was teaching. At first, I had a wake-up call. Sorry, at first, I don't know how I read that. At first, I had a wall up. It's a bit hard to see the screen because I'm outside and it's quite bright today. Sorry. I had a wall up due to my logical, practical approach to life. I guess that's normal for many people, but I was particularly stubborn and not into the whole woo-woo spiritual stuff. Months went by and I was still missing my ex. It had been 2 years since we split up. I realized I was learning a lot from Athena and other channels too. I thought, why not see if I could manifest her back? Why not put this to the test? I watched videos on manifesting a specific person, but some techniques seemed nonsensical to me. Although Athena and I never had one-to-one coaching, her live sessions made me feel hopeful. I never thought about manifesting my ex back after the breakup. I was just adjusting to my new life without her. She was adamant about our incompatibility, so my logical brain just accepted it as the end. But something in me just couldn't let her go yet. With nothing to lose, I gave it a try. Athena would perform hypnosis on her TikTok lives, and I participated. I refused to do the crazy techniques. Affirm all day or script constantly, that just wasn't my style. Athena calls herself a lazy manifester, and I relate to that. I enjoy hypnosis because it helps me become more present and clear about what I want. Then I drop it and I didn't think about it again. Sure, I had thoughts about her during the day, but nothing obsessive. Unintentionally, I started having inner conversations with her. Initially, they were arguments in my mind, but after a few hypnosis sessions, they changed to a more loving and forgiving conversation. I even had sweet dreams about her. I didn't talk to her with the intention of influencing her thoughts. It was just natural. I heard her say things that she normally wouldn't, being more open and affectionate. Time passed, and although my day-to-day life remained the same, I felt better inside. I had thoughts that she might be missing me too. One day, I received a package for her in the mail. Even though she hadn't lived at my address for a long time, I saw this as a sign. Naturally, I set it aside, assuming that I would see her again to give it to her. Weeks later, she reaches out, realizing I had her package and that she hadn't updated the details on her Etsy account. She'd said that she'd been thinking about me and missing me. Everything I had been thinking and imagining seemed to be reflected in our conversation. She asked to come over and retrieve her package and to talk. When she came over, it felt like no time had passed between us. It's like we were together only yesterday. We talked, and it was comfortable and normal. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't worried about her picking up the package and just leaving again. I felt unlimited in my approach to love. What helped me here was the fact that I wasn't making her the answer to all of my prayers. I was open to anything and anyone. I mean, yes, I wanted her, I missed her, I imagined her, but at the same time I felt detached from it. I didn't need it to be her. As long as I felt what I felt in imagination with someone in real life, then damn right, I would be happy and consider myself a success. So this really helped me take her off the pedestal, so to speak. She admitted she'd been thinking about me for a long time and felt safe enough to come forward. Much of what she said mirrored my inner conversations with her. It's like she was reading my mind or reflecting my thoughts. Even some insane stuff that we were talking about. Yes, there were conversations I was having with her internally once, just something random about anime. Yes, we are a little nerdy. And she even brought that up, reminding me of when we watched Pompoko, and the laughs that we had. It was so specific. I always felt that she and I were on the same wavelength and had a lot of same thoughts. So I don't know if this is why this got reflected and the inner conversations helped, but honestly, I was blown away. I lost a lot of my skepticism after that conversation. Things are progressing now. She hasn't moved back in yet, but that's fine with me. I know it's unfolding perfectly. I get it now. I understand the law of assumption on many levels, and I will no doubt continue to learn. Thank you, Athena, for your wonderful content and free hypnosis sessions. My message to everyone is do this for yourself with an open mind. See yourself living the life that you want right now, even if your current reality is quiet. My reality was quiet, but as it turns out, a lot was happening behind the scenes. Also, don't be too serious with it all. I had no method or structure, no routine, just getting on with my life, knowing I had changed and my world was changing with me. Best to you all. Thank you so much, sweetheart. So yeah, like I say, he was stubborn as anything. He was not even really a believer as such. He was open-minded. He was curious. Apparently he had a crush on me. That's what he said. That's what drew him to my channel in the first place. But it was part of his bridge of events to see that content. He had broken up with his girlfriend and he just accepted it. At that point, he just accepted that that was the end. Everyone's got their own mind, right? You're dealing with another person. You can't change them. And the idea is that you're not looking to change them. You're not looking to change anything on the outside. It's so much more relieving to leave the 3D alone in acceptance that what's going on here is always going to be reflecting me. It's just one big mirror. And okay, I'm not going to go to bed and suddenly wake up and be married to my SP. This law abides by laws of nature. We have to be realistic with this, and there's going to be stages, there's going to be movements, there's going to be things happening because I'm living on this planet with other people who have their own consciousness, their own awareness, they're living their own lives, they're manifesting from their own perceptions. And so I will only ever experience from my perception my reality only. I only have control of my reality, and so I change myself to see a different reality, and everyone else is affected. Everyone else is moved to play their parts, just like actors in a play. I'm giving everyone a script. This is what I want. This is what I'm stating what I want. I'm giving everyone a script, and they're performing their parts beautifully in order for me to realize what I had experienced in imagination, who I actually say that I am, what state of consciousness I am dwelling in will always be reflected. Thought transmission, you see, it wasn't about, I've seen many people do things like there's all sorts of methods out there, whispering methods, tell them what you want to tell them and stuff. And the thing is, if we do anything out of force, if you're affirming it that they love me, they tell me that they love me, they tell me, and you're forcing it and you're still doing it from this anxious state, then they're not going to reflect any of this back to you. Remember, I've always said to you, it's always your state that is being reflected back. All the thoughts and everything that you have, they're already manifestations, they're already in existence. I'm just selecting the reality that I want to live, selecting the version of I am I want to be. And as a result, my thoughts change. And as a result of those core beliefs I have, who I state that I am, my thoughts are different. Those thoughts always get reflected back, especially as he said, that he was having these inner conversations that, again, did you notice nothing was out of force? But I think because he was quite detached, he's had that very kind of logical mindset, he was just doing it, he was just testing it. Yes, he wanted her back, but it wasn't all this like emotional anxiety, I need to change her, I need to get her to fall in love with me, I need to get her back. It was very much like, let's be open to this, let's see what happens. And after a few of the hypnosis, which he followed along on my TikToks, and I've got my hypnosis audios on my YouTube as well, which a lot of you guys have been enjoying. Next one, by the way, is financial abundance. I think that's the one that won the poll, so thank you for those who took part in that. But essentially, because of that, something impressed in him which changed his thoughts and changed his inner conversation. He's having these inner conversations that were just running in his mind, because we're always having inner conversations with our SP, or various people for that matter, in our minds. But he realized that they were becoming a lot more harmonious rather than the arguments at first. It was harmonious, it was friendly. He's having these conversations about anime, and she comes and she reflects all of that back to him. It's like, did he transmit anything? Not as such. She is the mirror. She is his mirror reflection. And so she's always going to mirror his perception of her, his beliefs about himself and himself in relation to her. It's all going to be reflected back. The thoughts are the byproduct of that. And those inner conversations that came about quite naturally were not structured, were not a technique. It was just a very natural process for him. All got reflected. And I know from my own previous experience as well, that it always happens that way too. My natural thoughts from my state were always the thoughts that SPs reflected back. Oh my God, did you put a spell on me? Oh my God, I couldn't stop thinking about you. I was dreaming about you. It was these natural thoughts that I was having. I know that they're thinking of me. I wasn't stating it, affirming it, trying to convince myself that I know that they're thinking about me. I know they're thinking. No, it was very natural. Change my state. Everything else changed and got reflected back. So I really hope that this was helpful for those of you who are curious about law transmission, who are on your own SP journeys. It can be as simple as that. You don't need to do all these millions of techniques and sleep tapes and all the rest of it. You don't need to do any of this. It really is so simple. Change yourself and how you see the world, how you choose to be, and everything else conforms. I promise you, it can be really, really as simple. It can be as simple as that. Now go and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you everyone for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.